Well, good morning, everybody. My name's James Wolfe from the Widnes Vikings, if you enjoy what I've got to say this morning. If you don't, my name's Dave Sweeney from the CCG. Dave asked me to consider coming along and being a part of this event a few weeks ago, and then earlier this week said that he'd been double booked. So he's left me standing here on my own. So, well, on a serious note, it was instantly attractive for me to come along and say a few words. The Widnes Vikings is a club rich with heritage going back to the 1800s. But for many years recently, we've been out of the top flight of competition. So this is our third year, going to our fourth year, being back in Super League. And when you're going up against clubs that have had 20 years of uninterrupted existence in Super League and 20 years uninterrupted funding from Sky and from the governing body, you need to innovate to compete. We're not the biggest club yet, we haven't got the biggest attendances yet, so we have to come up with ways to ensure that we can get onto a level playing field with some of the more established clubs such as Wigan Warriors or Warrington down the road. My philosophy is very simple. We've got to look for innovative ways and try and get out in the community and capture the hearts and minds of the local community. The club prides itself on innovation. Our pitch outside here is an artificial pitch, first one in rugby in this country. Saracens down in London have got one now, Newcastle Falcons have got one now. What it means in real terms is you can use it every day, unlike most sporting stadiums in the world where they get used once every couple of weeks. So we can use that to engage with the community and bring them here. We do a lot in the community and it's a very simple philosophy. We could flood this area with billboards, with advertising, with radio campaigns and ask people to come and be a part of the Vikings. If you've never been, it's going to wash straight over the top of your head. If we go out into the schools, if we go out into the community groups and we actually deliver something positive and we get people talking about the Widnes Vikings, then whether it's children jumping in the car at the end of a great day at school, whether it's adults in a care home talking about us trying to work with them on the loneliness agenda and tackling issues of mental health or dementia, travelling back down through the history of yesteryear as a club, all of those things build emotional attachments with the community. It's a great thing to do, and if that's where it ends, then it's a positive outcome. There is no loss in that. But if some of those people come back and watch us and become supporters of the club, then it's a win-win. A few months ago, I was introduced to a gentleman called Dave Sweeney, who I've already given a bit of a slating to at the start, but a very inspirational character, and we started to talk about what was going on within the CCG, what we were already doing with the NHS and many great people in this room. I've seen Pam and Lisa, who have done a lot of work with us in recent years. And we were looking for something a bit different. How could we create something with a bit of an impact? And basically what we struck upon over that coffee was we were going to have a crack at a Guinness Book of Record attempt and try and do something a little bit different. And so we started looking around at what we could actually challenge. And we found that over in Beijing in China, just before the Olympics, there was a record for the most number of people participating to a health and fitness video, which was just shy of 3,000 people. Over a coffee in my office, that sounded easy. Yeah, we'll do that. Let's move forward and start the process. And really what my message today is overcoming hurdles and overcoming perceptions and barriers, because for that to work, we decided we wanted the opening game of this season. Widnes have never had the opening game of the season. Every club wants the opening game of the season because everybody in the world is watching that game on international television. So we overcame that and we got the opening game of the season. I then had to go to my staff and Dave into his staff and say, we've got a great idea. We've got the opening game of the season. We might never have this again for 20 years. All eyes in the world are going to be on us. And before we get into that event, we're also going to run a world record attempt during the course of the evening. And we're going to try and get over 3,000 people onto the pitch, off the pitch, and run an event on live television as well. Now, there's plenty of people in my organisation that I could see in their eyes and their face, they were nodding, and in their head, he's at it again. This guy's an idiot. Why are we doing this on such a pressured occasion? And I'm sure Dave was getting similar sort of comments within some of the corridors of the health authorities. The hurdle got bigger when we found out that actually the video doesn't need to be 5 minutes, it needs to be 15 minutes. And once you've applied and paid your fee to the Guinness Book of Records, they then also said if 5% of people in the venue don't participate, it's void. So you think, whoa, so we've got to get 3,000 people. We could have a 10,000 crowd against Wigan. The Wigan end might decide they'll sit down and not participate. And even if we've got 6,000 or 7,000 people doing it, it's void. So that's a bit more of a challenge. So we said, well, we'll do it during the day then. Now, again, you think, well, that seems fairly straightforward. There was conferences on in the stadium, so the car park was out of action. No car parking available. It's a working day, it's a school day, and you're trying to get over 3,000 people in and coordinate it on the pitch, off the pitch, and back. So there was a few more tuts and shaking of head to say, I think it's time that we just left it. It's too ambitious. However, with a lot of great people, we didn't leave it and we kept pushing forward. And again, I think the lessons I learned from that is you only need a small group of people with the right attitude to carry everybody else with you. And there was a steering group quickly formed, probably about 15 people on that group between the Vikings organisation, Public Health, the CCG, Pam and Lisa were both part of that, Peter was part of that. And it was that group that carried everybody else with them. So when people were sort of shaking their heads and saying, why are we doing this? It's never going to work. How are we going to get that many people in? Well, we did. And suffice to say, if there's I think there's an image, that's the image of 3,500 people on the pitch. Now, it's still to be verified by the Guinness Book of Records, and that's the process that we're working through. But irrespective where that verification process gets to have coordinated over 2,000 primary school children, an armada of 55 coaches, to have got them on and off a car park of which there wasn't a car park space available, to have got them into the stand, out of the stand, to have got people out of work to be a part of it. Every stakeholder group you can imagine in this area played a part. The police managed to muscle their way into the front in the high-vis jackets, so they got an instant recognition. If you come up close enough, there's some Where's Wally opportunities where there's a lot of people in this room that can be spotted on there. We had children with special needs, we had children with disabilities, we had every possible group of Halton that we could imagine. And what's been really humbling from that process is the legacy, the after effect of that. We've deliberately collated a lot of the testimonials from a local nursery that brought toddlers in, from Ashland School where they had children with autistic, with autism, sorry, who were not very good with a break of routine and certainly not very good in big events such as this, who absolutely loved it. And what it actually did, and what we should all be very proud of, is it put our region on the map. Because once we finished this and everyone said, great, that was done, we've done it, we then had the opening game of the season, and we then had our biggest, arguably one of our biggest games of the season against Wigan. And anybody who's ever watched Sky Sports, normally the pre-match show to a game is very statistically driven, it's analysing players. The pre-match show for this, for the first time probably in 20 years of broadcasting, ran 3 community stories. The first story was the launch of their national Sky engagement programme with young people, which was going to be launched at 6 venues. It was launched in this stadium. We managed to get them to launch it that week, so Halton was on the map launching that event. The second event they featured was our partnership with prostate cancer. Again, trying to be innovative. The pub on the corner here, we rebranded the Men United Arms. We held the Wigan and Widnes pre-match press conference in there with both coaches, both captains. We found a Widnes fan who's battling prostate cancer and a Wigan fan who's battling prostate cancer. Their whole message is if men were more open and talked more freely about the health issues, the diagnostics would be much more successful. Highest number of press attended that press conference for either club in our history. That featured, and then the third feature, and if you go on our website, there's a little thumbnail with a video screen and it says 3,500 people on the pitch. You can see footage of this. The third feature was about 3.5 minutes on international television talking about Halton, the Vikings, the partnership with the council, the partnership with the CCG, and how we'd got 3,500 people. It's a record for the most number of school children in the region all coming together in one area. And they broadcast that, they put us on the map, and that got recognition. I know it went around the world because friends of mine got back in touch and asked why I had done the campest dance move ever seen on YouTube. So as the cameras were panning round from Sky and from YouTube, I thought, well, they need some atmosphere, they need a wave or a wink or something. Now, these ladies did a fabulous job in recording an interactive video which was on the big screen just here. Some of our players were involved, which is testimony to the sort of culture we're trying to develop. They were more than happy to support it. Every one of our directors, coaches, non-playing players on the night were involved. And as the camera came past, I'm going to reenact it because I don't want you all going searching for it and finding other strange videos that might be out there of me. But it just so happened it was a moment where there was a knee lift and an arm lift at the same time. And in that particular moment, I got captured in that pose, which, you know, is there forever now on video, but at least it captured a bit of amusement on the day as well. So I think my time's coming to an end, but my message is really that when there's an opportunity to innovate and when there's an opportunity to do something different, you will be met by a sea of dementors, as I like to call them. You know, we've all seen them in Harry Potter that just suck the life out of you when you're trying to talk about something different. We don't need to do that. We already do it. We've done it this way before. It doesn't work. It's too difficult. I've no interest in listening to people who say, we've tried that, we've done it, it doesn't work. Just get a group of people around you that have the same philosophies and passion, and you will do it, and then that's the sort of outcome you see. An energy that I've never experienced, which actually inspired the players. And my last point, in that particular game, we were 16-0 down. We lost our captain in the first 5 minutes, and then we had a man sent off. So all the pundits all around the world were saying, well, that's Widnes finished, done. And yet the majority of those people came and supported us on the night. It's the biggest crowd we've had in 20 years. We came back from 16-0 down and drew 16-0, and I think if it had gone on another minute, we'd have probably won. That's the impact of that sort of energy. It impacts everything. So I hope you have a great day. I'm very sorry that I'm not going to be a part of the full day, but unfortunately I've got to go and talk governance and finance with the RFL, which is much less exciting than doing a camp dance in front of the Sky cameras. So have a great day, and thank you very much for listening.